Why wouldn't you want to live a life that's this scary, that's this filled with dragons all the time? This is where all the money's at. This is where the people that understand the power of influence exist. When you go back to the George Washingtons and the Ben Franklins and the people whose names we remember, partly it was what they did, but the other part was they branded their name in the light. Building and it being in the light, they oftentimes go hand in hand. Think about the pull that these celebrities have. What do they actually do? The rock star that has all these groupies, all this attention, all this love from all these people. People are willing to kill for you. What is that? That's the power of owning the light. You can use it to develop anything you want. It's like a crazy power. You're so afraid of it though, that it's only the people that have the courage to figure out how to find it. And likely that means you're in the light, whether you like it or not. You're performing your craft in the light. You're becoming the best at something, but you're not doing it quietly. Somewhere in you is a version of yourself that can impact and grow that dream. And if you're so afraid of this, it's never gonna happen. The people that step in the light, these are the people that keep the world going around. So this is going to be cool today, you guys. This is going to be my very first Man on a Mission solo episode with no guest. I didn't have to do this because we have enough episodes in the bank where theoretically I'll have a guest every week for all of eternity as far as this is going so far. But I wanted to kind of flex out a little bit and challenge myself to do an episode solo. So many of you noticed my co-host that had started Man on a Mission with me here is not here. From now on, I'm going to be carrying the torch. Matt, you've been such a gift. It's been an honor kind of serving with you inside this studio. I love you, brother. Matt's going to be going off doing other things. And he said, young butterfly, it's time to go fly. So I think you need to take this and run with it. So me and Matt no longer be here, but I'll probably keep him on deck and for any time I need some of that wisdom that he always brings, that temperament, that beautiful energy that he always brings. A little scary doing things alone. When I originally started Man on a Mission, I'll be honest, I was too scared to do it alone. I knew I had to do something if I was going to murder the old Erik Rock, something that was profound. It was one of these early instincts I had is when I started getting around people that inspired me to use my voice. Especially as I was seeing things happen in society that I didn't like. I hated just being mad at the TV. These were one of these instincts that got me out into the light. And then I invested into somebody that believed in me enough to pull that out of me alongside my investment, which was a powerful transformational tool, knowing that I put money on me now. So I got to go do it now. So that's what led me down this road. And the first person I called was Matt. So it'll be cool to be able to see where I can take this and like the sort of the flex of Erik, because I'm obsessive, I'm crazy, I have a ton of energy. I fight so hard. It must be hard going toe to toe with how much I punch, how hard I fight. But Matt has released himself from this opportunity to continue to grow with me, which I totally respect. But so I'm going to take this somewhere, you guys, somewhere crazy. I promise you, that's my commitment. You're going to have to kill me. I've always said this. If you want to do anything profound in life, you have to put that type of intensity and love behind it, that passion. If not, there's someone else that will. I promise you. And there's only so much market share to go around. One of the things I want to talk about today in my first solo episode ever, one of these dots that I think will be really profound for you to connect is something that I recently stumbled upon that really sums up so much what I've learned this last year, something that I think is insanely important to disclose to the world, something I'll probably build a speech around, a presentation around. I'll probably build something around this because it is so valuable. I've said it a few places already, but it was really interesting. I was down in Mexico speaking and my batter's box song had come on. Earlier in that day, a friend of mine, Melissa, who was putting the event on, says, hey, what do you want your batter's box song to be? The song that comes on before you come out to stage, and then the song that comes on when you're on stage right before you perform. And I was in the gym that morning listening to who knows what was on, and I'm taking notes, and I'm in the gym. My endorphins are flowing, and nervous for that day. I have all these kind of thoughts of where I may want to take my speech, but important note, I've been on countless stages this year and I've never said the same speech twice. Never once have I said the same thing twice. I don't have a planned speech. I always speak from the heart. And I usually kind of know where I'm going to start and who knows where I end up. I go down rabbit holes. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's insanely authentic, very organic, and it makes me pretty different. It's not easy to be on 100 different stages and have 100 different talks and try to be impactful every time, move people, grip people, make them see something that they didn't see before. So I'm in the gym thinking about what song do I want? I've come out to many songs before, but this was a good question. And then out of nowhere, the song in the gym that came on was T.I. Dead and Gone. And it was sort of a heavy sentiment behind that song. It's just a rap song. It's pretty old these days. It's been around for a while, but this whole concept of being dead and gone, the old me is dead and gone. And it clicked in that moment. I was like, I think this is a sign from God, because I started reflecting back on the countless versions of Erik Rock that I've murdered. I've murdered so many different versions of me. I've constantly pushed the limits of what's possible, putting myself in vulnerable, uncomfortable positions time and time again. Every time I set out for a new goal or a new thing that I was going to go conquer, a new thing I was going to go, even new thing I was going to go buy. A lot of times those commitments and the investments it was going to take to build that new blueprint required me to murder an old version of myself. And so that song hits and the sentiment was right. The old me's dead and gone. So I said, I'll use that as my song. And I realized that'd be a good gateway to kind of open up. Wherever I go from there is wherever I go. But I had taken quite a bit of notes. So I come out to that song and I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to start. And right before I open my mouth, once the music cuts, I decided to just pause an extra minute. And it was odd. It was insanely silent, whole room full of people. And I could feel their heartbeats. In that moment, I could literally feel everyone's heartbeat. Pa-pum, pa-pum, pa-pum. And I'm just kind of walking slowly. And I'm looking everyone in the eyes and I'm just connecting to different eyes. And it's this odd moment of unique power that you feel every time you do this. But this one was a little bit different because I paused in the emotion longer and I just sat with it. A little bit uncomfortable to sit for as long as I'd sat. Now, it probably wasn't that long, but on stage, when there's that much adrenaline pumping through your body and there's all these people looking at you, I call them barbarians. It's a trip on the senses. Time moves differently. And it felt like an eternity that I was waiting. It probably wasn't that long in hindsight. I'll have to watch the video again and kind of see. But bottom line is, in that moment where I normally would have started speaking, I decided to let the pause carry me to a new emotion that was insanely clear and that I felt like I had to tell the audience. Now, it was a vulnerable thing that came to my mouth and it was incredibly honest. And it may have been even a little bit rude. It's probably the best word I could think of. But I stumbled upon something for the first time in my life. It was insane clarity. And I thought it was really valuable to build an entire episode around this. One of these secrets to life of people that perform at the highest levels. They've all felt what I'm feeling, and likely they built an empire around it. They built a mission, a brand around it. They built businesses around it. They fed everything they ever cared around this thing that I just stumbled upon in this moment. It took me a long time to get to this moment of clarity, but here I am. I'm right there in front of all these barbarians, silent, and a pen drops in the very back of the room. Now, most people probably didn't hear the pen drop, but I could hear people's heartbeats. That's how much energy I feel like was flowing from the audience to my room. They could feel the heavy sentiment in me, and then this pen drops. And it was almost like that consistent wave of energy that was silent, but I could feel when that pen dropped, I could feel that pen like hit my heart. Crazy, right? That's what it feels like to be in front of a bunch of people, what it feels like to be really scared and really vulnerable. You have all these eyeballs on you. Now, this is where it hit, and I felt like I had to tell the truth about this feeling of clarity that came over me, and it just came out of my mouth. What an unfair advantage I have over all you motherfuckers. And they're all sitting there just staring at me, and it just came out harsh. Super true, though. What an unfair advantage I have over all of you right now in this moment. Everyone's there teaming for information. They want to know more. Like, are you going to be the guy that gives it to me? It just, there it is. There's the masses. That's humanity right there at large. And maybe not the masses, maybe that's the notch above, but it is. Most of these people aren't going to go do the things they learn. They're not going to go do the things they hear. They're going to keep coming to these things. They're going to keep investing in them things, but they're never really going to make profound changes they need to make. This extreme moment of honesty and clarity just brushed over my soul. And I realized in that moment how much power I had. I had stumbled onto the thing that all these great communicators throughout history have stumbled upon, the Walt Disneys of the world, these iconic people that transform the world. To some degree, every single person that's ever left a mark has stumbled upon this. Jesus Christ, Mother Teresa. It doesn't have anything to do with money, by the way, but oftentimes these people are connected to great amounts and vast amounts of wealth and creation, big infrastructures. But it was this unique thing that I just felt in my heart like, oh my God, this is it. I'm actually doing the thing that gives you the most unfair advantage in life. It's the thing that celebrities tap into. It's the thing that the greatest athletes tap into, the greatest founders, the greatest political figureheads, the greatest lobbyists, all of them. Now, it does not mean you have to do this to become greatly successful and live your wildest dreams. Not at all. Has nothing to do with that. But it is a massive unfair advantage, especially in today's age, to be able to tap into all the resources around it. Oftentimes you'll hear me talk about an algorithm of life. Algorithm of life that's been around long before social media. It's been around since freedom has existed. And if you can break that algorithm, you have an unfair advantage. You'll have momentum, opportunities, and energy and resources and relationships that you won't have without it. But you got to learn how to break it. And here I am on stage in front of all these people, dead silent, and they are teeming, looking at me to give them something. And it just clicks how unfair this is. Now, there was this moment of reality. I could do two things with this. I could use this moment to manipulate, to lie, to sell, to bring you close to something that I care about. Or I can just do to serve, to do good, to fight evil, to combat, to really pour it out for just pure value, for the sake of living a life that has real purpose and mission attached to it. And you could probably do two in the same. You could probably build a real business around that with real purpose and mission attached to it. But it was just this moment of clarity where you could also use it to harm and hurt. And there it was, like this thing that I unknowingly have discovered in front of all these people that is likely one of the greatest, most powerful resources a human could ever tap into. The light itself, revealing your soul to the world and having the courage to do that. And then I started thinking about like even Warren Buffett, these people that are iconic names. Most people don't even really know the true story of Warren Buffett, but they know his name. But one thing I'm realizing, even this well-mannered, well-temperamented, very modest human, he's been living in the light most of his entire life, stepping out in front of the barbarians on a regular basis. You know, Warren Buffett's probably been on some sort of stage every single week. He's in his freaking late 90s. Is he 100 years old yet? Literally still doing this work, but he's out in front of the masses in the light, being judged by everyone. Whether you like him or hate him, it's absolutely irrelevant. He's someone that served and built at the highest levels primarily because he was in the light. And I'm convinced of this, to be best in class, to be the best in the world at something, to have the greatest impact, or to achieve the most of what you could with the time that you have, the resources that you have, most likely you're going to need to be in some sort of light. The Steve Jobs of the world, even going back to Walt Disney, I mentioned his name. You know, think about through his mission to transform the world through storytelling, to change children's lives through storytelling, the whole thing. Powerful mission, right? None of that would have happened had he not found the light. It was that light that actually more likely brought his greatest dreams to reality. It was. You think about what a monumental feat that was. How many banks told him no? He had to sell a vision so great. He had to get so many people believing that he could find the resources barely to make Disneyland a thing. The whole story is compelling, going back all the way to the early days of his animation. But again, it was him stepping into the light. Then I started thinking about celebrities. Again, all this is like a flash in my mind, this unfair advantage. Boom, the people that have it, why do they have it? How do they have it? It doesn't necessarily mean you're the best either. They just figured it out. They tapped the algorithm. Are you tapping the algorithm? Most likely you're not. And the thing is most people never will. for a lot of different reasons, but primarily is because they're so afraid of what people think. There's so many things that hold us back from doing scary work. Most people can't turn a camera phone around. And then if you do, you'll have people project onto you. If you're someone that tends to do that you're arrogant, that you're all about yourself, that you're whatever, all the projections of people that will have opinions about people that do this work. They're projecting their fear onto you, that your voice, when paired up to a camera or a phone, is somehow makes you insecure or makes you this or that. There's going to be so many messages thrown at you. Well, that'll paralyze most people, and they'll only do it to small degrees, not really having an impact. They won't build an entire life around stepping into light, but it's the people that do. Doesn't matter what business or what industry you're in. It's those people that are boldly not afraid to step in the light, not afraid to get mud slung at them. Actually, it's the people that are aware that the shit talk, the gossip, all that, it's actually good for the algorithm. Keep talking shit, motherfucker. I love this. This is good for me. This helps my brand. Keep talking my name. Let's go. What an unfair advantage. It's such an unfair advantage. Let them talk. Like, this is where all the money's at. Keep talking. Type it out, actually. Please type it out. Tell me how ugly I am. Tell me how insecure I am. Tell me how fat I am. Tell me what a loser I am. Tell me how pathetic I am. Please tell me. Again, the people that get this are the people likely at the top of the food chain, because their whole lives they've found a way to serve whatever the business is, whatever their core business is. They serve, but they go out in the light. They are a personal brand. Their names are brands before their products and services many times. And in many cases, they go hand in hand. Many cases, the business may have come first, and then this person figured out the resources of it, maybe likely learning through the lessons of building the brand of the business itself. So it forces them in the light. Again, what an unfair advantage. And the reason I think I want to do a whole podcast episode on this is because if you can get this and you can really adopt the true nature of what I'm trying to tell you, you can build a powerful unfair advantage and leverage it into the things you care about. Now, what I'm here to tell you is it should be led with mission and purpose, something that helps humanity. If you're going to use it to lie and manipulate, like, you also have that opportunity as well. Yes, you do. But again, like, the first place I always start when I work with someone is not their money, it's their mission. And then we go backwards from there. It's very easy. I didn't do it that way. I landed at mission at close to 40 years old. I wish I would have been doing this earlier. It would have transformed how I saw everything. It was all organic how I started my journey. But I didn't know these tricks. And the first time I ever tried to execute on this gut instinct to step in the light, I was so afraid that when I got through the opportunity to speak in front of an audience, I wrote it off as, I'm not meant to be in the light. I'm not meant to communicate to the barbarians and to the masses because it's too scary. The people that do this, they must be born for this. So that's the story I told myself. That's the lie that I told myself. And I went actually almost 10 years is what it actually was before I would ever pursue the light ever again, in the way that it shows that I'm fully committed and not just playing safe, like in the safe zone. And that's when I decided to build Man on a Mission, build a brand, step out in the light. I was going to make impact, the dominating force that pushed me past my insecurities. And now that I've done this so much, I've been on a rampage this year, invested countless dollars into this to build this infrastructure. I'm so committed to my purpose, to my mission, to my why, that I'm willing to just go for it all. And this is where it finally clicked after countless different stages, being out in front of the light, building all this communication, all these relationships I've developed with people that live in the light. They're building brands themselves that are not afraid of what people think. Or if they are, they built systems and processes around it at the very least. But all this has taught me so much, but it brought me to this one moment of clarity, like, oh my God, there it is. Shit. I need to do this my entire life so that I can fight evil and do good. Like, there's my outcome of knowing this secret. But it's also like, oh, I could build vast riches off this. That's just cool too. I could harm people with this. Well, it's good to know. If you're going to be effective at fighting evil, you better know how it works. It leverages the same shit that I'm leveraging. It knows exactly what I know. It's got a grip on your children. It's got a grip in Hollywood and pop culture. It's got a grip on education. It's got a grip in politics. It's got a grip on your food. It's got a grip on the health industry. The people that control the world, the fat little pigs at the top of the food chain, they understand all the power of how information flows, influence flows, all of it. I'm just this tiny little piece, but I stumbled onto where the magic in the algorithm exists. The breakthrough of that algorithm exists right here in this conversation. But if you're too afraid to turn a phone around and step in the light, you're likely never going to tap into a resource that has the opportunity that can really connect you to real purpose, impact, and God. It's very hard to impact at scale if you're so afraid of what people think. Like, you're not going to do much damage in life. Now, it doesn't mean you can't quietly win. I always say, yeah, you can quietly win. But likely there's a version of you that could have had a 10 times better effect and impact had you leveraged this whole concept. But it's the people at the highest levels that understand this. Trust me when I tell you. And they all utilize it. It's funny that I use Warren Buffett, because when most people think of him, they think about a mild-tempered man. I read his almost autobiography. He's never had an autobiography, but he wrote a book. Someone wrote a book about him called Snowball. And actually, I thought it was one of the most intriguing books ever. I've recommended that book to several people, and so many people have told me it's boring. But I thought it was the most insanely detailed account of his life. And I remember thinking when I was reading that, how the hell did he remember all this? Like, there is so many details of every bump in the road. And I love the journey of the story of these people that achieved really unique foundational like leverage in the marketplace. Let's just call it that. I don't need to tend to agree with him to want to study what he did on every level, but I realize a lot of these people are globalists. They have unique control and leverage over the world, not just here in America. So it changes sort of the political dynamics of how people will perceive them and whether they like him or not. Again, he's answering to his shareholders. He's got a different set of rules that he plays by. Like, his reality is different than the average middle-class patriot. So he makes him and guys like Bill Gates very easy to hate, and who knows what their real agendas are. So the point is not like citing here, but it's understanding the infrastructure of what even a mild-tempered man who's not that good looking, who's never been in a gym, who eats McDonald's all the time, and like really like there's not a lot that's inspiring there, what makes him so great. Like, if you get down past his ability to sell in the marketplace, to build a company, to take these iconic companies and turn them into something that were nothing. Berkshire Hathaway was a great example. The story of Berkshire Hathaway is intriguing. So yeah, he's talented, but there's been a ton of talented guys. Part of what I realized was his greatest gift to drive money, eyeballs, and attention into his brand was his willingness to step in the light. If you just study the guy, it was a lifetime of serving in the light. He did it in his way, authentic to him, very unique temperament. But don't think he wasn't out there 24/7 selling his soul. Trust me when I tell you. It's not afraid of the light, not afraid of what people think, diligently working in the rears. But I'm convinced it's that light that gave him that unfair advantage. Just like all these other iconic people, Steve Jobs, all of them, like anyone that has a movement, a brand, a foundation that they want to build and grow. If you can't do this work, then likely you're not leveraging the tools around you correctly. And this is what it is. 99.9% of the people will never tap into this. And that's really where you should start focusing. Where are you most scared? Out of all the places in life I was good, the one places I wasn't was in front of a camera. I would do like 90 takes to try to get one thing right. I would try to project what I thought everyone else wanted to see. I put so much curation into it that really it couldn't break through. It had no real impact. It didn't have any merit or value. It was for vanity purpose, and it didn't do anything. It didn't help anybody. But I knew I probably had the capacity to help someone. You got to learn how to be fucking raw and authentic, out in the light, not give a shit what people think, and then build a movement around it. Build an energy around it, build an empire around it. From there, you have this unfair advantage. What you do with it then, that'll be maybe the next episode. That's the next fun part of this conversation. But first, you got to get very familiar with the reality that you have to commit to an identity that serves in the light. From there, do what you want with the unfair advantage. It'll be fun to see what I do with it, because now I'm starting to see momentum. I'm starting to see opportunity. People answer the phone when I call. I'm having interactions with people I would have never dreamed to have interactions with. Conversations, people I would have never had to dream conversations with. And one thing that is so common now in my approach and looking at reality is trying to find really the unique truth that no one really talks about. Where is it? It's really, a lot of it's built into this conversation right here. And it's like, they don't really want you to know. Well, even if they do, they know you won't do anything with it. But so much of society indoctrinates and keeps you a slave. You just don't realize it. And my curiosity, my willingness to figure out how to break through it has really led me to this place. And I had enough courage to do it. But more important than all that, likely, and sort of in my own story in this message, was I got around one person that believed in me, one person that was doing what I wanted to do, that gave me the validation that I needed to do this work. And from there, I made an investment to just do it, think long-term, expect no results, look for ROI, for impact, not in dollars. I didn't need this even to make sense financially. I just needed to murder an old version of Erik Rock and prove to myself that I can serve in the light. Can I do this? Do I have the guts to do it? The courage? Do I have the balls to do it? Because why are we so afraid of this? That's a profound question. Why we are so afraid of the light. We are so afraid of what people think. And it took one person. Ed Milet was the guy for me. The one person that came in my life that gave me an odd sense of self-belief. He thought, hey, you got it, motherfucker. Go for it. It's in your soul. It's in your DNA. The way you communicate, the way you do things. It's different. It's a one-on-one. It's rare. Why would you not? You have to do this. But he asked me a few questions. What's your brand? I didn't even know what that meant. What's your mission? Didn't know what it meant. My instinct was to go to like what I've built, but that ain't it. That's not what he was talking about. And I knew it. Like, I can't talk about real estate or furniture or jewelry. Some of the core businesses I built in my life that were important to me. That's not your brand. That's not what your mission is. That's not what the thing that's going to get you to a place where your life has real significance. No, what is it? And that challenge thought paired with his self-belief that I could do it was very powerful, especially with a big transaction to get you to want to move. And that's when I went on a quest to search out, how am I going to do this? How the hell am I going to speak to all these cameras for the rest of my life? I got to do this. I have to build what am I doing? It was only when I started stumbling on a real impact where people's lives actually changed. It's crazy amount of resources I tap into to have to get here all the time. Like, I really have to believe in what I'm doing. And trust me, the imposter is going to want to come constantly and try to take you down, want to sabotage the fuck out of you. So I have to constantly leverage this and rely on, why am I doing this? What is my mission? You just have to hang out there because there's so many insecure thoughts that are going to destroy you. And I'm going to end with this. Something maybe some of you've heard me told me before, but I'll tell you again. I hired a speech coach, this sweet little lady named Idora, and she taught me something that was incredibly profound. We are so afraid to speak in front of people, in front of the barbarians, because our ancestors, it was a fight or flight response to stay safe. If you had the courage to step up in the old days, in the caveman days, in front of the barbarians, they would actually potentially stone you to death. You had to be incredibly smart and savvy and courageous in the old days to take a role in the community as a leader. Because if they didn't like what you're saying, they're savages. They would kill you. And so that's built into our DNA. It's built into us to stay small, not talk small from the sidelines is not serving in the light. Serving in the light's different. Building a whole movement around this whole concept, it's different. It's very vulnerable. Putting yourself in that vulnerable position, it actually physically feels like you're going to get killed. The adrenaline that pumps over your body when you step in the light, when you step on a stage, when you step in front of 10,000 people and you go up to a mic and you're staring at all of them, there's a physical feeling in your body that's adrenaline that's pouring through you. That is telling you to go the opposite direction and not say anything. It's the people that lean into it and they build a lifestyle around leaning into it that are the ones that figure out how to manipulate that adrenaline and figure out how to get it to serve them, how to reverse the want to run to want to go towards it. And now I'm here to tell you it's exciting as fuck. It's like you're high. It's a drug. It's really a powerful emotional feeling and connection with people and energy that is so unique. There's nothing like it in the world. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to live a life that's this scary, that's this filled with dragons all the time? And that's what it feels like for me as I've committed to this. So I want to disclose all this to you because right here, I finally stumbled on, oh, this is where all the money's at. This is where the people that understand the power of influence exist. And again, at the end of the day, when you go back to the George Washingtons and the Ben Franklins and the people whose names we remember, Partly it was what they did, but the other part was they branded their name in the light. They go hand in hand. Building and it being in the light, they oftentimes go hand in hand. Very much so they do. You just study this stuff. Really think about it. Think about the pull that these celebrities have. What do they actually do that's so great, that makes them so worthwhile? What is it? Oh, your voice is a little different than mine and it sounds good. So we're going to go praise you and kiss your feet and drop our pants in 2 seconds just because you're what is it that makes them so alluring? Think about the best athletes in the world. At least they have some talent, some physical talent that's like really rare. Like whatever it is, maybe celebrities have talent. That was maybe a hit that was unworthwhile, but you get my point. Like, what do they do that makes them so eager to have girls that don't know them drop their pants? Like, think about that for a minute. That's a profound statement. Like the rock star that has all these groupies, all this attention, all this love from all these people. People are willing to kill for you. You ever seen this shit? You've seen it. What is that? That's the power of owning the light. You can use it however you want. You can use it to get this, to get this, to get this. You can use it to develop anything you want. It's like a crazy power is my point. We are so afraid of it though, that it's only the people that have the courage to figure out how to find it. And likely that means you're in the light, whether you like it or not. You're performing your craft in the light. You're becoming the best at something, but you're not doing it quietly. Does that make sense? You feel this? I hope you guys feel this too. Somewhere in you is a version of yourself that can impact and grow that dream. And if you're so afraid of this, it's never going to happen. It won't happen to its highest degree. You're in a competition with so many forces right now. This will be profound. But what I'm here to tell you is this. The people that step in the light and fight evil, inadvertently, they put good into the world. They have good intentions. They live with service and mission in mind. These are the people that keep the world going around. You have to have these people or society crumbles. And wherever there's good, there's evil. Wherever there's light, there's darkness. Wherever there's freedom, there's some opposing force trying to steal it. And somehow I've connected my mission to that and children that are suffering. This is my why to get in the light. Because if I don't have that, I won't do it. My insecurities will gobble me up and destroy me. I hope you hear what I'm saying. But if you can connect yourself to this and you could find your voice deep in your bowels and pull it to the surface, you get to tap into all the unfair advantages that rock stars potentially have, but you got to commit a life to it. Again, like, doesn't mean you're going to break through. It doesn't mean you break the algorithm, but you at least have to be willing to try to do this on a consistent basis for a long time before you see any momentum. But it's that alone that is likely the thing that is one day going to give you the unfair advantage over all your competition who was not willing to sacrifice the emotion of facing those types of fears, which is a powerful emotion that gets you to want to go that way. And it's only when I've been on 100 stages, always nervous as fuck, always not sleeping the night before, early in the morning at the gym, trying to find that energy source, trying to find that fuel, trying to find that power. It's only in those moments of uncertainty. Why am I doing this? Imposter face. What am I wasting my life for? That I fight through the feeling, and then on the other end, I find this insane fulfillment of like slaying that unique dragon, knowing that everyone else around me is so afraid to do this. Everyone I come in contact with, there's some of the best videographers in the world that are so scared to step in the light and build a lifestyle and a brand around stepping in the light. That's where the unfair advantage actually exists. That's where the greatest momentum likely will shift in your life. But again, I see it time and time again. Someone touches it, it gets a little hot, it's a little uncomfortable. They try it for a little bit, they're out. They don't have enough conviction. They're not sold enough on what I'm saying. This is unique validation for at least a few people out there, I promise you. It's probably unique validation for a lot of people to do this. But at the end of the day, there's one Erik Rock that needed to hear this. One younger version of me that had a lot of talent trapped in him, a lot of potential, but was so leery of what other people thought, such a chameleon to try to people please. This is my fuck you to everybody. It's kind of what it is to me. And it's power. That's the power, is not giving a shit. I don't care how I look. Fuck you. Nobody cares. You feel me? That's the power, because I believe in my mission and I am helping people. And that's what keeps me showing up. And that's what keeps me not caring about the people that could give two shits about me anyway. I'll end with this. My amazing team here made me a video randomly that I thought was really, really good. I just want to share the words and the sentiment that's behind this. I'll probably put to this mic, but you guys just got to hear it because somehow this is another connection. The words that are behind this video that they made of me, there's words that behind it that connect me to pushing past the fear. It's powerful enough to get me to come past the fears. And that alone is insane power, you guys. Let me just find it. It's right here. I'm going to turn the sound up so we can hear it.
Things that you must come to accept. Most people ignore the last one. First of all, self-control is strength and calmness is mastery. You have to get to the point where your mood doesn't shift based on the actions of someone else. Don't allow others to control the direction of your life, and don't allow your emotions to overpower your intelligence. Second, avoid being overly kind to everyone. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Kill people with silence because not everyone deserves your attention. And third, in 3 generations, everyone who knows you will be dead, including the people whose opinions stopped you from doing what you wanted to do all along. Imagine someone you know achieved every dream and hit every goal. Then some years later, they get old and die. And 2 years after that, how much would you care? If you accomplish your goals and dreams, do it for yourself. If you made it this far, drop a 100 in the comments.
We're going to die. Why are you so afraid to do this work? Somehow this unfair advantage I keep talking about that I've just stumbled upon, it is the greatest gateway to real fulfillment, real impact, and actual God if you choose it to be. Because you could also choose it to harm people, manipulate people, hurt people, but either way, it's an unfair advantage to do that. It's an unfair advantage to become a hero and then manipulate, lie, and steal from that person you were a hero for. It's a way to get all this attention and all these eyeballs and maybe all this money, but then what are you going to do with it? You can attract all these investors and all these people that believe in you, but then what are you going to do with it? Are you going to help humanity? Are you going to hurt it? Are you only going to serve yourself? Do something good with this. If you find this unfair advantage in life, do something with it. This is where all the real money's at in life, you guys, is in these conversations, I promise you. It has nothing to do with your bank account. It has to do with your impact. It has to do with the value you give the world, and has to be really with your ability to handle the fears that control most people. How are you going to break through those fears? Because that's where all the real money in life actually exists. Thank you guys for joining my first ever solo podcast episode, where I think we'll name this one The Unfair Advantage, Stepping in the Light. Also, so one last thought, you guys. So I'm constantly now in rooms, on stages with some of the most powerful people in the marketplace, some of the most influential voices in the marketplace in business and finance, real estate, personal development, politics. If you guys have any future questions you want me to start asking my guests, please drop them in the comments, DM me. We want to start incorporating some of your comments and asking these people that were near questions directly from you. I love you guys. If you like the show, please like, share, subscribe, follow, all that. Share this with a friend, someone it could help, someone that's got big dreams but is playing small. There's a lot of those people out there. Trust me when I tell you.